Knicks and Bruises, we are back. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Blackest Time. I got my guy DJ Shuttle in the building. What up, my guy?
Yo, we here, baby. Seasons are coming to a close. I've been traveling across the country. Just got back last night, and got back in time just enough to get an old head nap in and then watch the game. It was perfect.
the
I woke
old
up as soon as the game started.
the old head naps, man. You text me about one of those like last week. You know what I mean? Like you better take one of them old man naps.
Yo,
Sure
listen,
enough, man.
it's
They come
essential.
in handy.
It's essential, especially if you're trying to catch the West Coast games or you got early mornings and you got long days. Power nap, man. Power nap is not to be played with. Get you recharged. Now we ain't talking about sleeping for 3-4 hours. Like power nap, 30 minutes,
Yeah,
40 minutes. Get a quick recharge. Get back to work. Get back to it. That's what we talking about.
no doubt, no doubt. So yeah, let's talk about it. But you know what I mean? Shout out to the chat, by the way. The Knicks, man, they got the win, but it's another slow start. Um, right now, I kind of want to break down Mike Brown's press conference. I didn't get to watch it last night. I watched it this morning, but it it intrigued me because you know he sees what we see. You know what I mean? And it was nice to he ain't throw the hammer down, but kind of have some holding people responsible, accountable, and speaking about the elephant in the room and not kind of sugarcoat it or dance around it. Um, we going into the final. Pardon me. Hopefully, we go into the finals, but we going into the playoffs, trying to get to the finals, and we gotta clean some things up. And slow starts right now is on the very top of the list. So yeah, I want to bring the post game press conference up and kind of break it down and see what he's talking about and see what we like and what we don't like. Shout out to you, my guy. Let's go.
It's good to get a win, but you know, I was not happy with the way that we started the game and we played most of the game. Now we found a way to get a win
Fair use, right?
uh, because of the stuff we did in the game. Uh, I did not name a DPOG today, so there's no DPOG. Um, we have to figure out individually, collectively, um, how we can start games better. I thought at Indiana, and again, we did not quote unquote blow Indiana out. That game.
I mean, right there, man. Just starting with that little clip right there, not naming a defensive player of the game. To me, that holds volume. I like that. I like that he did that. You know what I mean? Nah, we ain't giving no rewards for this game. You guys, if there was a defensive player, he should have started at the beginning of the game. Even though defense, it was a defensive game, low scoring game for both teams. But yeah, I like that. But what'd you think of that, man? Just not naming a defensive play game, but not just not naming it, saying it out loud. You know what I mean? Not waiting for someone to ask who was the defensive player of the game, because I think he's done that once before, but it kind of went unacknowledged. What, what's your thought on that, Shadow?
I mean, hopefully it's a little bit of a wake up call. Hopefully it's a way to show people that just because you won a game doesn't mean you're deserving of any rewards. It's like it's like being a kid and being paid to do your chores. You know what I mean? Like, the chores just because you might have did the chores, but you might have did something else that was not valid. You know what I mean? So we ain't
Right.
you ain't getting no money for the chores this week or this month or whatever it is. So um yeah, I mean, listen, you got to try something. I mean, because obviously whatever you telling them to do to get ready for the game ain't working. So maybe if you take something away, they don't have their PlayStation for a week. You know what I mean? The kids will learn how to straighten up. I mean, I can't
Word.
I can't really call it like, this is supposed to be a championship contending team. You got Boston ahead of you. in the playoffs, this is a game that you should be looking at that's going to draw you a half a game closer. I think Boston had either just lost the night before or they lost earlier that day, one of the two. So you got to be scoreboard watching at this point in the season,
Yeah.
like, and it's just too much of a feeling amongst a lot of fans for my liking. I'm not saying this is every fan, but a lot of fans for my liking are feeling like, oh, it's not the playoffs. It's not the playoffs. It's not the playoffs. Listen, you are the habits that that you put
You
out.
build. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the habits that you are is who you are. And like this whole idea that the team could just turn the switch on. So hopefully this, is just puts a shock in the system and brings the team back to a tighter defensive effort in the next game and a better effort overall, especially to kick the game off. And
And
you know,
I just want to add is bigger than just this game. Like right now he's talking about Indiana, but you know what I mean. So it's a stretch of games. But let's
Could
continue.
have gone either way. But we collectively as a group started that game with a level of physicality, a level of focus that we need to have every
Now
game,
he's talking about Denver.
especially going down the stretch. I'm not talking about the outcome, win or loss. I'm talking about the start of the game with a level of focus, a level of physicality, so that they're feeling us to start the game. At Utah, tonight, in LA, guys are getting wide open threes or semi-contested threes, and everybody. And again, it's not just about the Golden State Warriors and them missing half their team. Clippers had all their guys, I think. You know, so there are other teams in between where guys are getting open or semi-contested threes, especially to start the game. And all these players are in the NBA. That means they're all good.
That's another point I wanna harp on. It's no excuse when you playing injured teams. Like it doesn't matter who we've played. We've had these same type of habits, like you just said, throughout the year. Starting games slow, trying to fight our way back. That last game was the biggest win of the season, biggest comeback of the season. But we've been in these positions all year. You know what I mean? So it's just nice to know that White Brown is on the same page as the fan base, as acknowledging the bad habits. You know what I mean? Um, it's very late in the season. You know what I mean? But hey, rather late than never, right? To kind of, hey, you know what I mean? Like you don't want to just switch up completely when it becomes the playoff time. You know what I mean? You want to show some of these tactics. My bad, I'm getting distracted. Shout out to JB, Jason Benjamin with the super chat. Appreciate you. He said, salute. Kings beat the Clippers. Raptors beat the Pistons. Are the Pistons and Clippers not contenders now? We have a tough win, but y'all yeah, we got a tough win, but yet criticized by media. Um,
wait a
I
minute.
don't think this is
Wait a
a
minute.
this
Hold
is
on.
a
Hold on.
criticism though from me personally. To me, I'm acknowledging the things that will worry me in the playoffs, the things that we got to clean up before we get there, and we're running out of time at this point. This is definitely not where I was in the eight, in the losing streak. I know we could beat anybody. You know what I mean? But we're gonna have to play. We can't just breeze by anybody. We're gonna have to play our best, and I think that's where I'm at with it. I hope I don't feel like I'm criticizing the team,
Well,
and this is me coming from playing the coach's words. So it's an acknowledgement from him as well. My bad, Shuttle. Go ahead.
what the last thing you said is what I was gonna say. Like right now, we're playing Mike Brown's comments. These are the coach's comments, and we're talking about what our thoughts are about what the coach actually said. So, and as Tony pointed out, and as Mike Brown pointed out, this is not one game we're talking about. It was a comeback required against Indiana. It was a comeback required against Utah, and it was slow starts that didn't result in comebacks also against both LA teams.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not a one game thing. We're talking about less about criticizing. We're talking about habits that have to be formed that you can depend on, that night in and night out, win or lose. That's the last thing he just said before Tony stopped the clip. It's not about if you win or lose. It's about your physicality, how you start the game, playing smart, turnovers. These are things that you can do. Like, you can play tough in the beginning, play physical, only have 10 turnovers, and you can lose the game. And you can lose the game. And if you lose the game and you hold the team to 110 points, 107 points, there's nothing to say other than, you know what? I tip my hat to those guys. They played a little harder than we did. They made a few more threes than we did. We played tough, but they played a little tougher. We only had 10 turnovers. They only had 5 turnovers. So if we're having that conversation, that's probably a little less critical and, again, more just tipping your hat. But that's not what's happening here. Like, you're repeatedly having a slow start to a game, repeatedly having to dig yourself out of holes. Now, what this causes you to do, it impacts your rotations now. Now you have to, everybody said the starters are playing too many minutes. This is what y'all hated the former coach for, because he wanted to win the games, right? So now you put him in a position where, is he trying to win the game, or he's trying to keep the minutes to a minimum? And are you going to be happy with losing games too, in addition to having bad habits? I don't know about you, but I'd rather have my team win and exhaust the minutes and keep the habits to a minimum that I don't want in place.
I'll acknowledge this. It's still been a progression for this team, because we wouldn't have come back and won the game early in the year in this game. You know what I mean? Like, we would have came back and fell short. So there is a progression of us coming back and winning games now. You know what I mean? But you don't got to put yourself in that position so often. And again, Mike Brown's words acknowledging it. To me, this is a breath of fresh air, if nothing else. You know what I mean? Because it was more worrisome for me when he wasn't acknowledging some of these things.
He was busy skinning and grinning.
Go in from the beginning of the game, and there's no sense of urgency, or we aren't making them feel us. It's going to be a long night. Not only for them offensively, because they got a rhythm, they're feeling good, but defensively, they got a little juice. They got life. And so our group, starting with me as a head coach, we have to figure out how we don't have to go into games relying on some amazing comeback because we did not start the game the right way.
Have you considered changing the starting lineup to try to find some group that does work together early on in games, or is it too late in the season for something like that?
It's not too late to do anything, and if I feel the need, I will. I'm not thinking that right now. I'm concentrating on each individual because, like you just said, we've started different people at different times, and so it's collectively. In the last, it seems like the last 7 to 8 games, I know for sure as far back as the 2 games in LA, the game in Utah, and tonight. So what's it? I don't know. Is that 4 out of 5 or something like that? The last.
Yeah, there you go. I'm talking about a stretch of games, not just this one. I love the fact that he didn't take it off the table of changing the starting lineup, but by saying, I'm not looking at that right now. But you know what I mean? What's your thoughts of that? Because I did see a lot of people in the fan base kind of screaming for a change in the starting lineup. I don't think we should do that at this point. Um, and pardon me, let me JB appreciate the super chat. He said, "Yeah, good. I'll talk about the national media." Yeah, well, pardon me for misinterpreting. And you always got to say national media when you talking about them. And they're the reasons why I found Sim and I started my channel, because I don't listen to what they say. You know what I mean? I take everything they say with a grain of salt. But what's your thoughts on the starting lineup, Shuttle? Appreciate the super chat, JB.
Yeah, I mean, I also appreciate it's not too late for anything. You know what I'm saying? I respect putting it out there, even though I don't believe it's likely that there will be a change. But I do respect the fact that, you know, he said what he said, because if you're a player, you got to know anything's possible when you hear that. But as far as the starting lineup goes, I mean, there's nothing that I could really recommend. There's nothing I could really recommend that I would feel strong enough to say I think that this needs to happen. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I see a lot of people calling for Bridges to take a seat. That's what I do see. See a lot of people calling for that.
Yeah, and you know what I mean. To me, I think I wouldn't do anything at this point either, for sure. You know what I mean. And there was a time where it wasn't even Bridges. It was Hart they was screaming for. You know what I mean. So we as a fan base, I shouldn't say they. We as a fan base, you know what I mean. We're fickle. We flip flop, myself included. You know what I mean. One week is this guy, another week is that guy. And to the point of what you said earlier, there's no significant player like or lineup that I would be like, nah, this is the one. Um, Especially, we'll talk about it a little bit later, and I know your thoughts on it, but especially with Deuce not being here. But let
Yeah,
me it, no, go ahead. I'll acknowledge Don in a second.
I was gonna say just to regarding the feedback on Bridges. I mean, I told you before, Tone. Like I'm in petty reform, so and I haven't graduated yet. I'm still in school for dealing with my petty. I'm not quite 50 Cent level petty, but I kind of want Bridges to stay in there and to deal with it, figure it out or not. But you the one yap in the public talking about your coach, talking about the minutes and all this stuff. Now you know what? Yo, stay out there. You stay out there. You stay in that starting lineup and figure it out. Because is one thing I don't like is out in your teammates and out in your coaches and your players in the public. And I did not like that at all. You know what I mean? So, that contribution to the narrative that people had about the coach, when people talk about how and why the coach had to get let go, yada yada, that's all part of it. So listen, yo, take your medicine, fam. Take your medicine. Take your medicine, boy.
And hopefully you right. He was right in the sense of, maybe. I mean, we'll talk about this again a little later too, but we've seen Clarkson kind of stay ready and fill the void, especially recently. And Shamit, I think he's capable of getting hot and doing the same thing. And Shamit's a guy he was advocating for it when we was talking about, getting more minutes. So hopefully Bridges was right in that.
Yeah. And
John Cannon.
you want players to play less minutes? Well, we can start with you, and you can watch during crunch time and just and get your 21 minutes like you got last game, and you can watch other guys that want to be out there. Never in my life complaining about too many minutes. Never in my life. How am I supposed to let that go? I don't know. I'm a former player. I'm a former player, Tone. Like like you had to pull me off the court. So like I still can't fathom that.
I mean, on the flip side of it, he was advocating for other teammates, so
Let the
it's not
coach
like
put other players in. Let the coach
it's
do that.
not.
I'm not
It,
going.
it,
I'm not going on public. I'm saying that privately. I'm not
fair
saying that.
enough.
I'm not saying that publicly because what you're doing is you're second guessing what the coach is doing publicly. You don't do that.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, contributing factor for sure in the end result. Don Cannon, appreciate the super chat. He said, "Why not criticize? Why not criticize them? This team is ass. How we battling fourth stringers? Oh, while we at full strength, who do you think this is on? The players?" I agree, 100%.
He probably meant the players or the coach. Um,
I mean, I think he's definitively saying the players, but either way, if it's a question, I say the players more so than anything, especially when you're talking about the opposing team. Now, Mike Brown gave him some grace, and I gave him some grace last night on Sim's channel. Shout out to Sim when I said, those type of teams are the hardest to match up against. With no scouting report. Obviously it's easy to overlook them and undervalue who your opponent is in the moment. Or even if you're trying to playing your best game defensively, the scouting report is lacking. So now it's about your individual knowledge of these guys, which may be there, maybe not from you watching them in college or whatever. I'm sure you're not watching them in the G League and things of that nature. You know what I mean? So those are the toughest games. And these guys on the other side are playing probably, the most minutes they've ever played in a game. They're playing in Madison Square Garden. They're playing for future roles on this team or others, showcasing themselves and things of that nature. I'm sure the majority of those guys played like career highs in minutes or close to in that game. So those are tough. But and the NBA players that going back to what Mike Brown said, if they're NBA players, they're good. You can't undervalue them. But to me, that's him talking to his team. You can't look at them like scrubs and we gonna walk through them. No, you got to play your game, do the principal things that got you here, and these slow starts. I'm gonna do a little bit more of this interview and
told you my man, but I ain't hearing nothing. I ain't trying to hear none of that.
as far as the difficulty of those games.
As far as the last 2 minutes of everything you just said, I'm not trying to hear none of that. Are you kidding me? You better play your game, stick to what you do, play your principles, and nah, I ain't trying to hear that. Like how are you an NBA championship contending team, and this is how you start the game, and it takes you this much to beat this team. I don't care what you don't have on the scouting report. They shouldn't be able to stop you. And if they were that good, they would have been playing already.
Listen, you're right. I'm not disagreeing with that. I was just giving their side of the equation. You know what I mean? When you talk about us and us doing us, we didn't do us. We didn't play our best basketball. We didn't play good basketball to start the game. You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to take anything away from or take any responsibility away from the Knicks. I was just saying, that one little tidbit. But yeah, let's continue this.
Our last 4 out of 5, we started this way. Our guys can do it. They can do it. I mean, we started when we played at Denver again, and I hate saying this because we won big. Let's throw out the score. We started right. They felt us from the beginning without us fouling. But when they went to shoot a three, the contest was there. The box out was there. We tried to take care of the ball. There was a level of focus, a sense of urgency that we brought to the table that led to physicality without fouling from the jump. And when that happens, we're a pretty good team. I mean, I'm sitting here, bitching about this, and somebody told me from the 1st of January on, we have the number 1 defense in the league, or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, we can play better,
True.
and I know for myself and every man in that locker, every person in that locker.
Right there, though, we could play better, bro. That's all it boils down to. That's all we saying. We could play better, even though acknowledging best defense in the league since January, or top. You know what I mean? Moved up to 7th. You know what I mean? We could acknowledge the progression without, and also acknowledge we can play better. That's all I'm saying with this. I don't even. I think I'm done with the interview, or with the interview.
It seemed like something about Denver though, that if Cat gets geared up for anybody, it seems like Joker and the Denver Nuggets. It seems like he's revved up to show he's a better big man than Joker every time he plays Joker. You look at his career, even back when he was on Minnesota, he's got great games against him. Like head-to-head matchups. You look at the numbers. I don't want to say they're better, but they're damn good. I mean, even Cat's defense in the Denver game, I'm like, wow, look at Cat. He's out there, like he's trapping, he's hedging. I'm like, wow, Cat is really putting the work in. But these last 5 games, it's been awful starts. And once you get to the playoffs, it's cool to say Knicks have one of the best defenses right now and one of the best offenses. But when you get to the playoffs, you're going to be playing all the teams that have the best defense and offenses. So, the things you're able to get away with and come back from last night, not really so easy in the playoffs.
And if we're ranked 7th, right? Let's assume all the top, like you said, it's going to be all the best defensive. If we're ranked 7th out of 30, which is great, but like you're saying, the pool gets smaller once you get into the playoffs. So let's say we stay 7th out of the 16 teams, we right above middle of the pack at that point. You know what I mean? When you're looking at the pool of the top 16. So we right above the middle of the pack. So that's a valid point. This is new. I think it's new. Shout out to Jason Benjamin with the super chat. He said, we're getting every team's best shot because we're one of the best teams in the NBA. That's a sign of respect to me. This team is mentally tough. We good. I think we are mentally tough. I do think the fact that even before Mike Brown, but even this year included, you know what I mean, we've had a history and a track record of fighting back, right? At one point, that was our identity, that we never given up. You know what I mean? Like we go fight to the end of the game, and you never know. You know what I mean? But even this year, like with it not being the full identity, we've showed that capability, even when we came up short. You know what I mean? I do think we can draw from that when need be in the playoffs, right? And these could be staples of our capability. But again, we don't want to do that. We don't want to have to rely on that on a game in and game out basis. You know what I mean? If that's the circumstance we're in, yes, let's draw from that. You know what I mean? Let's rally the troops. You know what I mean? Let's get these wins, but that can't be like a staple of who we are. Oh, the Knicks start off slow. Teams will take advantage of that. Teams will utilize that. All right, we know we could probably get up 10 double digits in the first quarter. Let's try to, start the game like that. And from there, we playing with house money a little bit.
The repeated question. So pardon me. Shout out to super chat.
Yeah.
The repeated question has been, what is the identity of this team? Like, we're on the verge of the identity just really just going to be like, this is a team that starts slow and can maybe finish strong and win a game. Like, it's really on the verge of that's what it is. You know, I mean, that's where I would put it. Like, if there's anything that I've seen more than anything this season, it's that starting slow and needing to have to make comebacks. Sometimes doing it, sometimes not. But yeah, that's not really a great identity. You know what I mean? And you know, some people might say if you win the game, that's all that matters. And sure, if it's game 7 of the NBA finals, absolutely. But when you are getting ready for the playoffs and you at, you at the final, you at what, like in horse racing, what do they say, the final quarter mile or whatever it is?
Stretch run.
Yeah, man, you at the stretch run. It's like, ultimately, if you keep doing the same things, man, then you're gonna be who you are. And once you get to the second round and you're playing Detroit, Cleveland, or Boston, having these come from behind wins that are going to be required of you every game. I mean, we're talking about 5 games in a row. We're not talking about one game. We're talking about 5 games in a row, and on top of all the others throughout the season, and against a team with third stringers in there. So it's just like, you could look at it on a very micro level. I'm looking at the macro level. It's 5 games in a row. It's mad games throughout the season where you're down double digits starting the third quarter, down double digits starting the fourth quarter. If you look at the top contending teams, I confidently say New York is leading that category significantly, and I have no idea what those stats are, but I put a dollar on it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna respond to this super chat. I was gonna say this comment anyway, but he said, JB, are your eyes okay? Because you talking JB super chat JB part. I thought he's talking about Jalen Brunson. All right, JB, are your eyes okay? Because if you think this is our identity, please give me what you're taking. Because if this was another team, we'd be toast. And okay, I'm not responding for JB per se, but I know there are Knicks fans who will say this in regards to what you just said, Shuttle, and to regards to this super chat. And it is a fact. But again, this doesn't negate the fact that I'm saying this is not about our capability of coming back. You know what I mean? It's about us being in this situation in the first place. 2 biggest comebacks that I've witnessed as a Knicks fan, or 2 of the biggest comebacks, was those 2 games in Boston in the playoffs. So yeah, are we capable of doing that? 100%. You know what I mean? Against stiffer competition. That doesn't negate the fact that we shouldn't be in that position against the lower tier competition. You know what I mean? We shouldn't be in that position, to your point, Shadow. 5 games out of 7. You know what I mean? So I think that's where we at. And then JB, J Boogie, another JB. Appreciate the super chat. Your blackest tie for sure. I see you now, Bridges.
Yeah, I got a little confused on that one too. I was trying
to see now, Bridges show staying consistent. Shout out to the chat. Grandmaster DJ Shadow, salute 3 capital S's. We about to get into the Bridges thing for sure. But let's give the acknowledgement to Clarkson just for appreciate the super chat, J Boogie, for staying ready. You know what I mean? This guy was out the doghouse. I mean, in the doghouse. You know what I mean? Out the rotation. Did not play. His coach's decision. I wouldn't have been mad if he decided to ask for, a waiver or something during that stretch when just past the deadline and all that, find his way on another team, he would have been well within his rights. You know what I mean? But he stayed pat. And during that stretch, you could notice him on the bench, cheering the team on, talking to Diawara, who was getting the minutes. You know what I mean? Talking to JB. I love that from him, and the fact that he stayed, and now he's back to contributing when we having offensive lapses, and guys are maybe Bridges opened the door for Clarkson. Maybe we wouldn't even have seen Clarkson if Bridges was playing at a more dynamic offensive clip.
So we should thank Bridges.
I mean, I'm not. It's just a good thing to have guys back there. You know what I mean? Break glass in case of emergency, and for Mike Brown to collect the data to say, all right, if we're in this spot in the playoffs, a tough spot in the playoffs, I got confidence that I could sit a certain guy, and I'm not saying Bridges definitively. I'm saying whoever it is, you know what I mean? But I got somebody back there that I could go ahead and rely on to say, go get a bucket. Go get a bucket.
Do something. And, it goes to show the difference when you have NBA caliber players on your bench that have been here before, that have been successful before, that have been 6 men of the year, quality level players on your bench. Because if you don't have players like that on your bench, you don't have them as a resource to put them in. Makes a big difference.
I'm trying to think if I should bring this stat up right now or let's talk about Mikal Bridges first, and then I'm gonna bring this stat up. It's gonna tie back into Jordan Clarkson as well, but it was interesting to me. But let me get to this super chat first. Jason Benjamin, appreciate the super chat. He says our identity is never quit and mental toughness. Those are championship qualities. We're not gonna be an easy out. These other teams got to play us too.
Heard you.
I hope so. I felt like that was our identity a couple years ago. I feel like we've shown the capability to you know what I mean, to kind of draw from them qualities still. But I don't know if that's our full identity, and the mental toughness part of the slow starts is questioning their mental toughness. You know what I mean? I give them resiliency, you know what I mean, to kind of fight through it, but not necessarily mental toughness to I'll give you not quit as well, but mental toughness, to me, that ties into the question of their mental toughness that they have in these slow starts continuously and throughout the year. But never quit. I agree. Resilient. I agree.
If you have a job, JB, try showing up to work late 5 days in a row. See how that goes for you, my boy. See how that goes. Because I know if they told me shuttle you booked and your start time is 12 a.m. and I show up to the same promoter 5 times in a row late, they ain't really gonna be all excited only about how good I played. They're not gonna care. Oh, shuttle. When you got on though, they were screaming. Nah, you gotta be on time because it just that's part of the job, And you gotta start tough because it puts too much stress and too much strain on the team, the players that you don't really want. And yeah, to somebody that commented earlier about the Pistons and the Celtics last year, the comebacks and whatever, just like y'all are saying, oh, it's the playoffs, them teams are saying, yo, the Knicks beat us last year, but this is this year. Detroit's the number 1 team in the East, coast to coast, start to finish. You think they're not saying we a new team? We looking for the Knicks. We gonna spank the Knicks this year?
And they have a target on us for sure.
and, and
You know what I mean?
and they are clear that the wins in the regular season this year don't mean nothing. They looking for the playoff smoke. And I'm not saying that they're gonna win, but like let's not act like it's the playoffs and it's special for us. Like it ain't special for the other players too. Like you think losing to the Knicks and getting his shot blocked is not part of Tatum's Achilles return coming back this year? You think that that's not part of the motivation to see the Knicks and beat the Knicks?
Or
Come on,
or Jalen Brown's
ascension.
mishaps the previous game or the next game, whichever way it went, I forget. But you know what I mean? Good segue to Mikal Bridges though. You know what I mean? Because it's like, let me start by saying this. I feel like my thoughts on Mikal Bridges very much mirror my thoughts on the team, right? Where some may look at my critique or analyst that I'm down on him or I'm bashing him the same way some think I'm bashing the Knicks, and that is not the case. It's more of the expectation being higher. You know what I mean? But I want to credit some of the good that he does as well. And my question is, are we too down on Mikal right now? He's obviously in a slump. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's averaging like under 10 points in like the last 7 games. You know what I mean? Which is not great at all. Um, but to start the year, at least for me with the eye test, it felt like both he and Deuce McBride were benefiting the most from Mike Brown's arrival. Um, Even his 3-point percentage, like shockingly, when I thought he was in this slump early in the year, it was 37%. And right now he's in a slump, what it looks like, and it's still 37%. You know what I mean? So it's like, man, like, am I too harsh on Mikal? He definitely has the capability, even within a game where he's not producing offensively to his capability, to impact the game and impact the win, a big stop at the end of the game, like we referenced with the Boston series. But you know what I mean? Like he's capable of doing that throughout the game as well, or not having a good shooting night and hit a big three in the third quarter, fourth quarter. You know what I mean? And be his only three for the game. So it made me think about this earlier before, as I'm prepping for the show, and I'm like, all right, so what is it? What is it with Mikal? Is he doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing, and we just expect more? You know what I mean? What can he do to kind of reach his plateau, or whatever the case? But what do you think it is? What is it with Mikal that it seems so underwhelming right now? What do you think it is?
I think that we look at him to be a defensive stopper, aka wing stop. And I think that whether it's because he's against more on-ball defenders than maybe he needs to be, or guys are a little bigger and stronger than he is, and it's too much for him. Wherever it is on defense, while he is getting 1.4 steals per game, and statistically league wide, that puts him in a good spot, and it puts him at one of his career high numbers. He's got 1.6, and he also has another season at 1.4. So, I mean, he's not slumping, if you will, in terms of steal stats. His blocks are where they, typically are. So, but it just seems like he's getting blown by on defense. And if you're not going to score more, because the scoring is down a few points, if you're not going to score more, then I'm looking for your defense to be as good as I expected or a little bit better. And the defense hasn't been A1. It's been like his defense has been kind of mid. You know what I mean? It's mid defense, and we getting mid offense. And truth be told, a lot of fans are not going to let go of those 5 picks. And he's people are not going to look at just the play. They're going to look at the 5 picks and equate a player that you give a 5 picks for that should be having a greater impact on the game. At least with a guy like Mitch, for example, give Mitch some flowers while we are talking about Bridges. At least with a guy like Mitch, who's only playing 19, 20 minutes a game, I mean, he's one of the leading offensive rebounders in the whole entire league.
In league history.
You know what I'm saying?
Just
Word. So, you know, at least with Mitch, he's playing so little, but his impact is so high that there's no question in denying his impact on the game. It's like, you know, now Mikal made those stops in the playoffs last year against Boston. He made a couple in the season last year, one against Portland that stood out tremendously. And like he really hasn't had those signature moments this year where you feel his impact on the game the way I think we felt it last year on defense. And you know, he had that buzzer beater against Portland also, you know, which was, you know, you got to have signature moments. And that's the thing. He's kind of just like, you know, I always refer to my 40-degree days from The Wire, you know what I mean? String a bell. He's just giving a lot of 40-degree days. You know what I mean? He like, I don't know if anybody's checking in from New York City last week, the day before it snowed, the day before that, it was like 77 degrees. You know what I'm saying? We're not really getting 77-degree days in March from Bridges throughout the year. You know what I mean? And not we need a couple of them 77-degree days when we're not expecting them. You know what I mean? And he's just been given a lot of 40-degree days. And I told you early in the season, I've thrown my hands up. Like I'm not dependent on nothing no more. Like he's gonna be where he is. He's a guy that is going to score between 10 and 15 points a game. Every once in a while, he's going to go for 20, 25, but I'm never going to expect it. And I'm not expecting high impact. At least he's smart. He's not selfish. He doesn't try to overdo too much, unlike a former player that used to be here, which I didn't like. And you know, so for that, I at least applaud him for team chemistry, IQ, and things of that nature, that he's not overdoing too much. And at the end of the day, while that's not a lot to praise him for, it could be worse because you don't want a team with people that are just you know what I mean? And you know, Mike Brown, the team, Bridges is all in one category. Let's see what you do in the playoffs because it's extremely mid right now for you, my boy.
All right, let me get to the super chat because it fits.
Got two.
And then yeah, I got them both. I'm going in a different order. I'm gonna go with Jason Benjamin first just because it is Bridges related. I'm a Bridges guy, but I admit Bridges hasn't been scoring well enough lately. But until otherwise, he has proven in the playoffs he makes winning plays. I agree with that 100%. And I'm actually gonna. I found this stat. I did some digging and I found a couple of stats that might be plausible to the reasoning why we're getting what we're getting for Bridges, and maybe why we're being a little bit too hard on him, and maybe this is exactly what he's supposed to be giving us. You know, minus this stretch of the 10, you know, under 10 points a game. Other than that, you know what I mean. But just his stats for the season.
And
yeah, that's it. That's included.
Under the 10 and a goose egg is a lot of room in between there.
That's a fact. That's a fact. But it made me look up his usage rate, right?
Okay.
So let me ask you, who would you suspect is our third highest usage rate player on the team? Because we agree it would be Brunson and Towns guessing the first two.
I would say Hart.
Okay. Hart is number 7.
Well, my first instinct was OG.
OG is number 4.
So Bridges would be number 3.
Jordan Clarkson is number 3.
Wow.
Usage rate percentage.
Well, I mean, when he gets the ball, it's
Well,
kind of like John Starks. It's going up.
now, and that's part of the reason for sure. You know what I mean? When he's utilized for that reason. So that it shocked me that he was 3, but it makes perfect sense that he's 3. Deuce McBride is 5. Number 6 is Mikal Bridges. And I'm gonna give you the percentages just so you have the context of what it is. Jaylen Brown 30.4%. Cat 25.5%. Clarkson 21.8%. OG 20% even. Deuce McBride 17.8%. Mikal Bridges 17.6. Josh Hart 16.8. Landry Shamet 16, and Mitchell Robinson 10.2. And that's the 9 that's on the list. So anybody else is, well under, probably 1% somewhere or under. But that intrigued me. And then it made me also go back and look at his usage rate throughout his career, Mikal Bridges. So you got Phoenix rookie year 12%, next year 13, next year 14.9, next year 15.6. That was the last full year in Phoenix in 2021. In 2022, it went from 20% in Phoenix, and then when he got traded the same year, shot up to 30%. And then in Brooklyn, after the first year he was there, traded there, it was 24%. So even on average, his percentage is maybe a little bit higher than his Phoenix days. Very close, maybe, but we're talking about a point or 2 difference in his usage. Do we really expect much more from him in this role? And when you talk about his usage on his team, it's number 7. It's number 6.
Now, part of your usage number is going to be generated by you attacking, creating your own shots, and shooting the ball up. And I think that's some of the displeasure, the dissatisfaction, the can you please do more, that the fans are like, yo, we've seen you do it before. Why are you not doing it? And it's like he's shying away versus, like Shaman said, hey, I told Diawara, you're open, shoot the ball, my boy. And Diawara shot that thing, 16 times in 15 minutes or something crazy like that. And I'm saying, like, I don't want to say we want him to have a bad, and this goes back to my point about him being a high IQ player and not just chucking. And while it may not seem like a great thing to applaud in the scheme of a team, it might just be what the team actually needs, because if he did more, it might make the team worse. But there's some of us, present company included, that I guess have seen him do it when he was at that 30%, at that, you said what, 24% with the Nets second season, 20%?
Yeah.
So
the entirety of his time with the Nets is 24%, which would put him at 3rd on this team. If the usage rate was that, you know what I mean, even above Clarkson.
But with the way that Brunson dominates the ball, and the way that Towns gets a lot of shots most games, and then all the others that get so many shots, and this is why I said, like, this is not a team that you're going to focus on a big 1-2 punch or a duo, because you got a quality team in that entire starting lineup that anybody can go. And Bridges Bridges style just is like, all right, well, I'm a team guy. Like, I don't gotta overassert myself. I don't gotta play too many minutes, put the bench players in. You know, ultimate team guy. What you gonna do with him other than just let him be who he is?
Yeah, I just thought these stats kind of made it fare a little bit better for him. You know what I mean? And kind of made me ease my perspective of you know, is he doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing on this team as opposed to wanting more? Now, are there times when we need more from him? 100%. And maybe that's the thing he needs to figure out. And I think collectively it's probably a tough task to know. Not just, it's two things. Sometimes you gotta find guys, got like JB, he gotta find guys and get these guys going. But there's other times where guys gotta make their path their own way. You know what I mean? And go get it. And I think for the lesser guys on the team, it's harder to find when is that opportunity, when is it not. You know what I mean? Like it feels like OG is
Diawara's not finding it
that
hard.
that is true, but he also has nothing to lose in a sense. He also has he's it's like ignorance is bliss type thing. You know what I mean? It's also that kind of thing too, like just not knowing no better as opposed to, I mean, it could be who he is, and let's hope that is because that's a great sign as well. You know what I mean?
What about
But
Shane? Shane is going for his.
he he is, but where's he at? Like he ain't, his usage rate ain't anything higher than it ain't higher than Bridges. You know what I mean? So I'm looking at the guys who's higher than him, and it actually makes sense. You know what I mean? Obviously, McBride out of sight, out of mind. We're gonna talk about him before we end the show. Um, but yeah, it's Brunson, it's Towns. It makes sense that Clarkson is in there because it's not just about how often. I think it starts with how often you touch the ball. That's the first indicating factor on usage rate, and then it goes by what you do with it. You know what I mean? Then it's OG. Then it's McBride. It makes sense. You know what I mean? The order just by watching the games. You know what I mean? Like nothing is really shocking in that. I don't know how you move him up. And OG, like shout out to him because he's been finding his way throughout this year. I think this is his best year, like getting in the paint and rising and attacking the rim and drawing fouls and things of that nature. Like he's finding his way on this team. You know what I mean? And you can see it. You can still want more at times and not. But Mikal, I don't know if he's necessarily found his true niche, but I do think I've been a little bit hard on him. So I'm gonna ease back. I'm gonna ease back and respect the fact that his usage rate is fixed on the team and he's still giving us what he's giving us. Um so that was that. I got another super chat. This is Donald Cannon. He said Jason Benjamin. Uh How many coming from behind games do we need? Does it take for you to see that we're just not that good? The energy we had last year is just not there. Um, well, my response to that is we're trending now. We're winning those games, right? At least the last two come from behind games ended in victory. You know what I mean? It might even be three during this stretch. So, um, that is a positive. We're trending towards at least winning them and not coming up short. You muted, Shadow. And I got you. And JB with the super chat. Appreciate the super chat. Beginning of the season, Mikal Bridges was playing the best ball amongst the team, but it was crickets amongst some fan bases. Now he's not a starter. Um, I definitely acknowledged it. I felt like both him and McBride was looking like they benefited the most from Mike Brown's new offense. It kind of just you know digressed throughout the season. It felt like um and he started the year very slow last year as well. So that was something that he had to fight through and figure out. Again, I'm
He
back
has some
on.
good, he has some good games to start the season, but I had mentioned this a little earlier, Tone, and I wanted to say it again. Is like with the usage rate being a little lower, with the scoring being down a few points, his minutes are down 3 minutes a game. That's also another contributing factor. And like I said, like I'm okay with the points being down a little bit. Like I'm not sweating that. His field goal percentage, 3 point percentage, they're right where they were last year. So I mean, as far as the stats go for the season on offense, is not really much of a dip. It's a very minuscule dip. My thing is, I'd love to see more of an impact on defense, and I would feel better about where he's at. And I just think that last year he also, even before the playoffs during the regular season, he had significant plays on defense and on offense. I mean, you hit a game winning buzzer beater. You know what I mean, against Portland with like 1.5 on the clock, a game winning three. You know what I mean? You bobbleheaded him out. That's a signature play. So
Mhm, for sure.
so saying that he's not a starter, again, we talked about that in the beginning. I don't think there's anybody that you can say definitively needs to start over Bridges. I think that is reaching a little bit, but but like he's done enough and he's stable enough for the most part that you would want to keep him in. Like you're not putting Alvarado, you're not putting Deuce. I mean, you could say you want to. Hey, take it easy. You could say you want to put in Clarkson, but he was just he was just on the bench for a couple of weeks, right? So some people said Diawara, so over Bridges or Hart. So but at this point, the team is who the team is, and you're better off keeping the consistency of a starting lineup and taking the guy out of the game quicker if that's what you have to do versus making a chance to start a lineup, in my opinion. And yeah, them picks ain't really amounting to too much until like 2020, I think till 2031. Really is the only time I could foresee it being a potentially very valuable pick early in the lottery, or if the team, by that point the contracts should be up for Brunson, for Towns, for Bridges. Who knows where the team's at that point? But you might use this year's draft. You got the Wizards early second round pick, and I've been saying this: if the team is to the Eastern Conference Finals or to the finals, then you might want to trade that first round pick. There's two teams I think that don't have first round picks, and I think one team doesn't have any picks.
Mm.
So I'd be okay with trading that pick for a future first round pick in one of them later seasons. The team doesn't have one to help keep consistent, and then the pick impact won't be as much of a deal.
I'm sorry, I had another comment. I just can't find it. Um, it was Don Cannon again. He said
JB, how
yes.
many coming from behind games do it take? I think
No,
he
I
said,
read that. Right?
"Oh yeah,
Yeah. I think he was talking. I read that.
that was my doctor."
Um,
Pardon me, Tone. Listen, fellas, PSA: you're not as young as you used to be. You should have been getting checked out before. You're not as young as you used to be. Get your checkup from the neck up. You heard? And below the neck too. Get all your checkups. You know what I'm saying? Get all your checkups. That's a quick PSA. So I'm taking care of mine.
listen,
Please take care of yours.
I tell you what. Sometimes we need to hear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just got You know what I mean? Everything's scheduled that I gotta get checked on. You know what I mean? So, but some people gotta hear it. So I ain't mad at it.
Hey, listen, fellas,
But no,
listen. If you
oh,
don't
this
got a
is
good woman in your life, fellas, telling you to get your checkups, then she ain't a good woman. So, you know, fortunately, I got one that said make sure she had to tell me
Ed,
like 50, 11
Ed,
times, but I did go and I took care of
Ed-
it.
listen, Ed. If you don't got a good woman in your life,
Get
and the
rid of her.
fellas is talking to you on some real stuff, don't feel weird. You know what I mean? Listen to the homies, because the real homies is gonna tell you too.
That's a big
Oh, yeah, this was it. He said, so Tony, can you honestly feel comfortable with us going into the playoffs with this team we have now? I'm gonna still say yes. You know what I mean? Like my comfort level or confidence level, whatever it is, I still think we could beat any team, and I still believe there is a true thing of, I'm not gonna say turning it on in the playoffs, but your actual level of play rising in the playoffs. And this team has shown that. They showed it last year that their level of play rose in the playoffs. Now, it definitely plateaued at a certain point and then tail dived. But I believe this team is more capable than some other teams. Again, I'm not gonna say this is no disrespect or discredit to Detroit, because I do think they are legit and they are real. I think they showed that last year in the playoffs against us. That was a tough series. But I also think there is a level that, or I believe that they could be playing at their peak level now during the regular season, and they might not have another level to rise to. And until they show me that, you know what I mean? That's kind of where I feel. I feel like they're playing at their playoff intensity. They're playing at their playoff level. I don't believe that we are yet, and I believe that we can do that in the playoffs. Not necessarily turn it on, but rise our level of play. So I'm not. I am comfortable. I'm not uncomfortable. I'm not worried. You know what I mean? But I would like for us to play our peak basketball going into the year, going into the playoffs, as opposed to finding it in the playoffs, because it becomes a little bit harder. Um, Last thing before we get out of here, Deuce McBride. I know, sometimes some people, they hear you on here and they think, you're a Deuce hater. That would probably be the one spectrum, or you know what I mean. You don't like Deuce or whatever the case. So
I love Deuce.
I know you do. I know you do. But sometimes you bring up trading him and things. The way I used to feel about Mitch. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's people out there that feel that way about you with Deuce. But my question is, well, a couple of things. I got some more stats too. Interesting enough.
There's one thing I love.
Um,
I love stats. I
I
love
think
stats.
the Knicks are shooting 37. Oh, wait, is this it? 37% from 3 point. Yeah, 37.2. Number 4 in the league in 3 point percentage, right? Then it made me go look at well,
37.
who are our top 3 point shooters?
Mm,
And
3-point percentage. There he is, top of the list. Top of the
Deuce
list.
McBride.
Hold on. Do I need to share my screen? Do I need to
Uh,
share my
uh,
screen and show it? I got it pulled up just like that. There we go, Tone. You want to see it? There you go.
Go ahead, go ahead. I gotta add it, or you can add it.
Oh, Google screen is testing you. You don't see it?
Yeah, I can add it. Boom. See, I blew it up so I can see it. Yeah, Deuce McBride, 42%. And if there's one thing that he's gonna bring, or I'm hoping he brings when he comes, or two things, because defensively he is one of those guys. I know we talked about how does Alvarado's arrival affect Deuce when he comes back. But number one, I still think they could play next to each other. I think they're two different type of defenders. You know what I mean? So I don't think one takes away or replicates the other, even though he was brought here, to kind of fill the role of Deuce. Um, but yeah, I think number one, we're gonna need that consistent 3-point shooter. And it's funny because he don't shoot the way other guys shoot. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't shoot the way Shamit shoots. He's not a like off the dribble, pull up guy, but catch and shoot. You know what I mean? And just standalone pull ups, 42%. We're gonna need that.
And
What's your thoughts though on him finding his way back into the rotation? Is
yeah,
it a slow? Is it a slow thing?
it's sketchy.
And shout out to Mikal, fourth on the list. You know what I mean? Going back to the previous conversation.
It's tough with Deuce because if the team was playing better, if the team was in a different position in the standings, then maybe you're more adept to just all right, throw him in. Let's see where he's at, kind of thing. But I mean, with the way Clarkson and Shamit are playing right now, do you really want to tinker with that? Now, if you said you wanted to give him some minutes over Alvarado because Alvarado's been very inconsistent on offense, I could kind of buy that, but I'm not sitting him at the expense of Shamit or Clarkson. That I'm not doing. Like Alvarado could sit, Deuce could show you whether or not he's got his speed and he can be a presence on defense or not. And at least now if you are really got to hang your hat on defense, you're gonna put Alvarado in. You know what I mean? Over him, or now you got a decision to make. Am I gonna sit Shamit or Clarkson or whatever? Me, I really don't like this small ball lineup against most teams where you end up with a lineup like, let's just call it Alvarado, Deuce, and Shamit. Alvarado, Deuce, and Clarkson. I don't like them lineups. 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 Too small. And then now you're playing OG out of position. If you're playing them with Diawara, you got too many inexperienced players playing with an inexperienced lineup. You know what I mean?
I think
the playoffs, the rotation should be shrinking anyway. So you got your 5 starters. Mitch is gonna have to play. Shamit's gonna play. To me, those are the top 7 players right now. If the playoffs are starting today, those are the top 7 players in the lineup. Those are the must plays. Then
Mitch and Shamit and the starters.
Right. Mitch and Shamit plus the starters. And I think Diawara has a really strong argument. I mean, I've been talking Diawara since the draft, since the season started, so I don't want to be a homer. But I'm gonna say Diawara and Shamit and Clarkson play the same position. So, I mean, I guess if Bridges got to sit, if he tired, if he playing too many minutes and he playing the way he been playing, maybe he could see the bench and Clarkson's getting some minutes because you're gonna need scoring.
To me, it's a good problem to have. I agree with you 100%. Though I think he jumps Alvarado as much as Alvarado's been a spark. Shout out to Sim, when in multiple games this year, multiple defensive player of the games. I mean, making his impact. I don't think he's above Deuce McBride in the full rotation when healthy. Deuce, we know he's not a point guard 100%. This is not what I'm saying, but he's already prepped in that role as the guy, so he he can play alongside a Clarkson and a Shamit. Is it ideal? Probably not. Um, a lot more will also ride on who else is the other two guys on the court with them. You know what I mean? But I think he's a staple. We I don't know how much we've missed him while he was gone, but that's because of some of Alvarado's sparks. You know what I mean, throughout the games.
Some of Shamit, some
Some of
of Clark,
Shamit's
some
spark
of
throughout
Clark,
you know what I
some
mean,
of
Shamit's
Clarkson.
Clarkson's, but his impact has been, again, to go back to the beginning of the year and acknowledging the fact that it looked like both he and Bridges were the two biggest beneficiaries from Mike Brown's philosophy offensively, and that never really wavered throughout the year with Deuce, in my opinion. Like even though it looked like Mikal kind of took a step back from the beginning of the year to now, it never looked like that for Deuce. The only thing that has held Deuce back this year has been injuries
Yeah,
and missing games.
but see, unlike other positions, you know what I mean. Like, there's really Brunson doesn't have a guy that's going to step in and make you feel like, oh, we're not missing Brunson. You know what I mean? OG doesn't really have a guy that's going to make you come in and say like, oh, we didn't need OG. You know what I'm saying? Mitch is getting boards, and he's he played great the other night. I mean, incredible game by Mitch, 22 boards. Got to salute that. But you're not going to be like, yo, we didn't need Towns. You know what I mean? Deuce, the way the players have played that have played in Deuce's absence, don't really have you saying, "Oh my God, when is Deuce coming back? We need Deuce." I mean, that's not to say that he couldn't be of value if he were here, but if Deuce didn't play another game this season, like I'm confident in the way that I'm not confident with any other player in the rotation above him
Mm,
coming out.
I mean, the way you worded it is one thing, but if we're putting I don't think that's the case. I think he's back in his spot when he gets back,
Okay,
and,
so
and I
that means Alvarado's on the bench
yeah,
because
one hundred percent,
that was his spot.
100%. But that wasn't his long. He also had versatility as far as
Minutes with Brunson.
positional wise. You know what I mean? So his spot wasn't just Brunson's backup. You know what I mean? He played with Brunson as well and played well. You know what I mean? So I think his rotate. I'm not gonna say the rotational minutes are the same, but I think his spot in the rotation is still the same. Now we just have a we have more guys that, hey, if you off tonight, or if you come back and you rusty and you gotta find your way, you know what I mean? We don't gotta rely on you to kind of be your best self immediately.
I'm just
But
saying,
the quicker he's
personally,
back, the faster he gets back to.
I love Deuce. Deuce, the Deuce story is great, but if I'm coaching this team and I got a 6 man of the year that's still getting buckets on my team, that is better at getting his own shot than anybody else other than Brunson on this team, better than Deuce at getting his own shot, and a guy like Shamit, who's playing tough defense, can make the pull-up three. Like, I'm not gonna, like, for guys like those level of players, I'm not gonna feel compelled that I need to put Deuce in.
Well,
That's
again, and
that's
this,
that's
let me just say this before I
mhm,
close out. And this
mhm.
is not an advocation. I feel like I say this a lot throughout the years. To be honest, this past 2 years for sure. But going back to that statement you had made earlier about changing the starting lineup. Again, this is not an advocation. But Brunson and Deuce together play well, and that might be. I mean, Deuce plays well no matter who he's on the floor with. But I'm not saying change the starting lineup. but having Deuce come in for Mikal, you know what I mean, and playing along those starters, I think always fared well. You know what I mean?
You pulled the stats. Deuce, the next best lineups, Deuce was in 4 out of 5 of those lineups, or 3 out of 4, whatever it was. So the stats don't lie. We got a healthy Shamit this year. We got the rest of the team, another season playing together. You got a scorer like Clarkson, who you had nobody like that on the bench before, who basically is playing the same position as Deuce, a scoring guard off the bench. So
Or more
I
of a
think,
creator.
yeah, more
And,
more of
and,
a,
and but back to the Deuce part is the fact that 42% from three. You know what I mean? He's been consistent at that all year, knocking them like big threes too. You know what I mean? All year long. The only thing that slowed Deuce down this year was injury. I just, you know what I mean. So I think we have to find a spot to kind of bring him back in, especially because the faster he gets back, the more games he has before the playoff, the more time he gets to knock whatever rust off. We don't want to pull him. We don't want to have him play. It becomes more dangerous just him getting healthy when the playoffs start, and then finding either a role or putting him back in his role immediately. I just need like a good week, 3 games, 4 games to kind of knock some of the rust off, see where things are, and unfortunately at this level in the season, but see what other combinations work, right? Because
well,
I think Mike Brown is still looking at that as well.
okay, but let's assume that the report that was given was that he wasn't going to likely return until the playoffs. That's like that was the report. He's not going
That
to.
that was the report, but they had a the initial report was basically it was like 3 games left. You know what I mean? And then when the initial point was 3 games left, may, or maybe that was a reevaluation date. I mean, or maybe that was like the low scale of the timeline. But
Mhm. Okay,
you know what I mean?
March
I could have sworn the initial thing was like, oh, if he come back here, it's 3 games left.
March 6th. He went on. He had reported timeline was and still is 6 to 8 weeks, which puts him right around early to mid April. While the
And
Knicks have yet.
I'm going to the game on the 6th. I don't think that's the last game of the season.
No, it's not. While the Knicks.
So
No, not April 6th. The procedure was when the procedure was done, they said 6 to 8 weeks, which puts them right around early to mid-April.
mm,
While the Knicks have yet to provide a timeline or any update for that matter, Ian Begley had some good news for Knicks fans on Thursday afternoon, and um, this is a little over a week ago. I still think there's positive. I still think there's positivity there. Things have been going well. I don't think there's any reason to fret or worry about McBride not being back and ready to go for the postseason. So that's the trajectory. Like if there's games, it seems like it's more like 1 to 3 games. It's like
yeah,
5 games. Like it's not going to be like 5 games. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
that's what I was thinking. 1 to 3 games, hopefully the large, hopefully three. You know what I mean?
Because they're saying early to mid-April. I mean, you got your game you're going to Monday, April 6th. That's in the A.
Hmm.
And then
Yes, sir.
you got April 9th at home against Boston, April 10th against Toronto, and April 12th versus Charlotte. So I mean, April 12th is not even mid-April yet.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, at that point, if he's really not 100% ready or is close, but you're not really sure, instead of just throwing him out to give him minutes, you probably be better off getting him 100% or close to it for the postseason.
That's fair. Hopefully them practices knock the rust off. Yeah, let me get that last super
We'll be
chat.
watching.
Say that again.
So, but we will be watching.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Shout out to Jason Vedri. I didn't know he was from the Bronx, man. I'm from the Bronx too. Castle Hill, Fordham Road,
South Bronx, what up?
191 in Creston. Shout out to the crew. Um,
163 Kelly Street, Southern
okay.
Boulevard, what up?
Yeah, South Bronx. Uh, he said I'm from the Bronx, but live in Connecticut now. When we going to meet up somewhere in New York area, maybe playoff game. Got a link for a game for sure. I don't know if we go into a playoff game this year, but we definitely doing a watch party at one of the playoff games this year.
Midtown?
So huh?
Like Midtown or something, I would presume, right?
Yeah, we usually go to Legends NYC. It's like
Yeah,
two
I've been there.
blocks from the Garden.
Yeah, I've been there.
You know what I mean? You can see the pandemonium, but not necessarily got to be in the thick of it. You know what I mean? It'll be wild and inside though for sure. Um, but yeah, as soon as we know when, we throw it out there. Usually try to plan it as soon as the schedule comes out, which game we all could go to. But definitely let you know for sure, man. Be great to meet you and show some love back. Appreciate all the love and support, man.
Yo, Jason, I'm putting this out there. First drinks on Tony.
For sure. For sure. Without a doubt. Hopefully there ain't a fake JB. Hey, I'm Jason Benjamin. Hey, I'm Jason Benjamin. Hey, I need to see ID. Nah, I'm just playing, man. But yeah, man. Anything else you want to touch on before we get out of here? I didn't even realize it was almost an hour and a half. But
yeah, let's go Knicks, man. I love beating Boston. I love beating Miami. I love beating Indiana. You know what I mean? I love beating any team, but Boston,
those
Indiana,
are the ones.
and Miami Heat. Is that your big three too?
That- yeah, those are the ones. Those are the
That's my
ones.
that's my big three. Like I don't ever.
Miami's probably number one
Oh, I hate Miami.
as far as feel good. Indiana might be number one, but it's just a lull in the year. But the fact that they beat us this year, you know what I mean, just kind of they itching. They about to be number one, Indiana, but Miami still got the longer track record as far as in my
Yo, and then they got Reggie
heart
Miller
of
announcing
beats.
the games. I was like, yo, listen, we don't need Reggie Miller announcing the games. That just makes it easier to not like Indiana even more. And it keeps it even in a down season, just seeing Reggie Miller's face just just brings up old stuff. You know what I mean? It's like a trigger. So Indiana, Miami, Boston. Indiana tomorrow. Let's get a fast start. Let's get the lead early. Let's put the Tims on their neck, and let's win this game coast to coast. Let's let
Yeah,
the let's let the guys that ain't been getting a lot of run get some minutes, and let the starters get a little rest tomorrow. Can we do that?
I agree. No slow starts. I might if I was good with the merch game like that, I'd definitely put it on the shirt. No slow starts, man. Let's stop that trend. Everybody that tuned in, appreciate you. The replay gang, appreciate you, man. Shuttle, of course, appreciate you. Uh let's go Knicks. Until next time, your blackest time. We out of here.